And he said, well, I don't really think we have a need for HR here. You know, it was like an 80-person company. So I was like, okay, well, you can hire me and I'll show you that you need an HR person.
You're listening to Leading San Diego. I'm Veronica Prani, Executive Director of Lead San Diego.
And I'm Adrian Quintero from the David's Heart Foundation. Each episode, we sit down with LEAD alumni to explore real stories of community leadership across our region.
And today we're joined by Kristen Diggs, who's the Chief Human Resources Officer at San Diego Youth Services and LEAD Advanced grad from 2023. Kristen, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Quick warm-up question. When you introduce yourself, what do you usually say first?
Okay, well, first and foremost, I'm a mom. And that's very important to me because I was a single mom for most of my daughter's life, and she just turned 23 yesterday.
Oh, wow, grown up.
Yeah. And second, HR professional, very community focused, networker, and very much into relationships.
So you mentioned relationships.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we're gonna talk about and focus on throughout this conversation is mentorship, because that was something that was really important to you in a way that you've given back to the community as well. Yep. So let's start at the beginning. If your life, your story, if it had a starting scene, what would it be?
Sitting in the very first professional interview that I did, I had an in at a company in Maryland, which is where I'm from. It was a tech company. And it was just as an admin assistant, but it was a way to get my foot in the door. And I interviewed with the CEO, and he asked me, well, you're going to come in at this position, but obviously you're going to want to grow. So where do you want to grow into? And I said, well, I'm going to be your HR person. And he said, well, I don't really think we have a need for HR here. So I was like, okay, well, you can hire me and I'll show you that you need an HR person. And within 6 months, I was promoted into the HR assistant, which isn't a huge title, but was the very first HR person in that company's history.
And you went for it.
I went for it. And so every time I talk to students or people that I'm mentoring, I always tell them about that. Just put it out there immediately and manifest it, work towards it, and you'll get it.
So you said you put it out there, you went for it. Is there someone in your early leadership influences that kind of set that stage for you? Who or what shaped how you viewed, how you either went for it or how you viewed your leadership?
She was actually, I would say, one of my very first mentors. She was the chief financial officer for that organization. And so she was the one that saw the need for HR. And she came to me and said, I know I've heard you want to do HR. Would you be interested? And I took her up on it. And she was tough. I mean, she was really tough on me because she knew this was my first HR job, and that I had to learn. And her tough love was what made me love my job and want to go forward in my career. And I just looked up to her so much. So I consider her as my very first mentor.
Oh, that's fantastic to have.
Yeah.
It really is. I think when I think of HR and all of the things that you're having to navigate on that side, but your heart really has to be in it for people to be able to help them on the other side, right? And so where did that perspective come from for you?
I think I've just always been in really close communities. I mean, I grew up in a really small town in Maryland. My dad was the athletic director of the high school there. And I mean, it was the kind of town where everybody comes out to the football games on Friday nights. The homecoming parade goes through all of the town. I mean, it was just a sense of community, and that's where it started for me. And that's just what I've taken. Friendships are really important to me. I still have friends that I met when I was in elementary school, and then I have friends from college and my first job and my second job. I just thrive on relationships and connecting with people, and that's what HR is, right? I mean, you connect with people.
So I want to talk about your move to San Diego. So you talked about how ingrained in the community you were in Maryland, and then you shared that you had advice from your brother when you moved to San Diego. So if you move here, go all in. And that I think that's a thread in how you kind of approach things. So what did that look like for you when you moved to San Diego?
So I lived in Maryland all my life. It was 45 years in Maryland, never went outside of Maryland. My daughter decided to come to SDSU, and I followed her.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And so,
I love that.
whereas most, kids,
Yeah.
they're going 3,000 miles away because they want to get away from their parents.
Yeah.
But my daughter and I were so close because I was a single mom that she was the one that was like, are you interviewing? Are you preparing? Like, what if you get an offer? Like, do you know what you're going to do? She came out in the fall of 2021. And it was still COVID, and I was working remote at my last job in Maryland. Because my brother lives out here, I asked my boss if I could come out for the summer and just work here for the summer. So the summer of 2021, my daughter and I came out here, and we spent the summer here. We stayed with my brother. We had an Airbnb. And then I moved her into her dorm. It was the last week in August. And then I flew back to Maryland that next weekend, and I was crying, hysterical at the airport. It was terrible. And it was like, yes, I was going to miss my daughter, but I just didn't want to leave San Diego. And so I got back, and I immediately started looking for a job here. And I saw this job at San Diego Youth Services, and I knew it was my job. I knew it was my job.
Let's talk about your advanced experience, too.
Yep.
So you move out to San Diego. When you moved out in 2022 officially?
I came out in early 2022.
Early 2022. You enrolled in advance in 2023. And you said it was one of the most important things that you did when you moved to San Diego because it helped you build the skills. And more importantly, it helped you integrate into the community.
Yes. So when I moved out here, my brother had done Lead Impact years and years ago.
That.
Yes. And so I'd known about Lead because he had told me about it. And Impact was very important for him because being in commercial real estate, he had to know all the sectors of San Diego. So I had known about it, but I hadn't really, I work for a nonprofit. So I didn't pursue a lot of anything extra that I knew would cost my nonprofit money. But I was recruited to San Diego Youth Services by Trevor Blair. Who was on the board at the time.
He was on the board of Lead at the time.
And I had lunch with him, and I remember talking to him, and he goes, you need to be in Lead. Because I was just talking to him about my desire to be in the community and know San Diego and meet the people. And so he connected me with the executive director at Lead at that time. And I met with her, and I wanted to do it so bad. And I'm like, oh, my company's never going to pay for this. Like, I have to figure out where to get this money. And I told my then CEO about it, and he was like, we're going to pay for this.
And that supported you.
He totally supported me. And I applied, and I was in advance that next June.
Wow. I think that's amazing when you have somebody that's in leadership that really believes in making those investments.
Yes.
Like, what else? I mean, I'm sure that wasn't the only investment that person made at that, but what were a little bit of the other investments as well?
So because my brother, he had been out here for about 20 years in business, and he knew I wanted to move out here, and he was very clear of like, you are not going to get hired in San Diego living in Maryland because everybody wants to come to San Diego.
Yes, they do.
But who actually will do it, right? So companies are very leery of seeing a resume from Maryland and thinking, like, is this person really going to move? Or is this just a pipe dream that they want to come to San Diego? So my original plan was just I was going to save up money for the first year my daughter was at school here. And I was just going to move out at the end of her freshman year, even if I didn't have a job, and just get the California, address and be here.
Go all in.
Live on my savings until I could get a job. So when I saw this job opening at San Diego Youth Services, I mean, it was perfect. I wanted to stay in nonprofit. It was the size organization that I wanted. It was working with youth services. I mean, it was just everything I wanted. Well, then when I got back to Maryland in September, it came back up on LinkedIn. And so I knew that there was something there. So I tracked down the recruiters who were Blair. And I wrote them an email, and I said, look, I know you're probably getting tons of resumes for this position. I know you have many qualified candidates in San Diego. Why would you consider a candidate from Maryland 3,000 miles away that you have no idea who she is or what she's about? I said, but I'm coming to San Diego, whether you hire me or not, and I will come out on my own dime.
I love that determination.
I mean, and they gave me an interview. They interviewed me right away. And so then when I was moved to the second interview with the CEO and the team, I mean, they're taking a huge gamble on means I have come to learn, to being in the HR community here, there is no shortage of amazing HR professionals in San Diego. And I'm sure that they had their pick of a lot of local candidates. So for him to, my CEO, it was Walter Phillips at that time, he's since retired, for him to take that gamble on me, to actually think this person can do it, and I'm going to trust her to make a move 3,000 miles away within 3 weeks when she's never lived outside of Maryland. I mean, I will forever be grateful to him and to Trevor Blair for recruiting me. I mean, he gave me the opportunity, and so then I listened to my brother, and I just went all in when I got here.
So you've also shared, so your CEO invested in you. You went through the advanced program, and one of your experience on the advanced program that you've kind of circled back and now returned as a mentor, but you had a really positive experience with your advanced mentor. And for someone like you who was, very far along in their career, but coming to a new community, new city, can you talk about how he helped you kind of feel comfortable and find that community here in San Diego?
So it was really interesting because when the lead folks were talking about getting a mentor in advance, it was optional.
Yes.
And I was kind of like, I don't need a mentor, right? Like, I'm a CHRO. Like, it's time for me to give back. Like, I don't really think I need a mentor. And then everyone was doing it, and they really encouraged it. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna get a mentor then. And so I filled out the profile about what I would want in a mentor. And Lead nailed it for
that makes me so happy.
The mentor. I mean, Dr. Stephen Jones, who was my mentor, still is my mentor. I mean, he was like everything I wrote on paper. I wanted a leader in the community. I wanted somebody in the DEI space. I wanted a connector, and he was it. And so our first meeting, we had lunch, and we were there for like 3 hours. And there's some advice from that meeting back in 2023 that still stays with me today. So he has just been instrumental in like giving me that courage or whatever I needed.
The confidence
to get out there in the community and think like, yeah, I am supposed to be in these circles.
I think it's amazing that Lead was able to kind of shepherd that experience to be able to have a mentor that not only was just going to answer your questions, but he walked you into the room with everybody.
Way above what a mentor, like on paper, what a mentor should be. I mean, he to this day, still 3 years later, I mean, he's inviting me to events with him. Like, I just can't say enough good things about him and the experience.
Yeah. I think the relationship part of even advance and having a mentor also goes back to now you wanting to go back as a mentor. Tell us a little bit about what that was like.
Another early thing that I did when I moved to San Diego is that I applied to be a mentor with an organization called Girls Rising San Diego. And I was selected to be a mentor. And so I started mentoring this 10-year-old girl from out in Spring Valley. And so the mentorship, you had to commit for 1 year. I'm now in year 3 of it.
With the same individual?
With the same, yes.
Oh, to see that growth.
And I'm close to the family now, and I've seen the mom calls me when she needs advice. A single mother, right? So like something I can relate to. And so I have a super close relationship with them and their family, which I loved the organization so much. I joined the board last year because I just believe in it so much. So I remember I was asked to interview advanced candidates.
We bring back past participants to interview incoming because you know that experience.
Yes.
And so it that conversation helps make sure that what the participants are seeking to get, the program can offer. And as a past participant, you're in the best situation to share that.
So I did that. Great experience. Just meeting a whole, other
whole new
group of people.
Whole new group.
And I remember at that point, you were there in the because it was just you were very
There's
new
been a
at
few
that
transitions
point.
over the past year. Yeah.
And I was like, I want to be a mentor. Like, I want to come back as a mentor. Like, I had such a great experience. I want to do that. And so you asked me to come back as a mentor.
And I want to give you kudos, too, because you've come back. You were a mentor the year after you did the program.
Mm-hmm.
You were a mentor last year. And at graduation, I had a conversation with your mentor. And she was telling me about her growth from the beginning of the program to the end. And you helped her advocate for herself
Yeah.
and create a position that didn't exist in her organization. And her CEO and her higher ups were like, yes, like this is incredible. Thank you for presenting this. Thank you for seeing the opportunity that we have in our organization. Yes, we want to promote you. And when I met her CEO at the graduation, they were so proud of her.
Yeah.
And yes, she had that in her, but you as a mentor helped get her there.
Aww. I'm so proud of her. Like, and again, Lee did an amazing job matching us because we work in the same sector. We work in social services in the homeless and unhoused. But she works in a very small organization. So my advice to her, kind of coming from a big organization is and she was all in to advance. And I was just so impressed by her. And she told me what she wanted to do in her organization. And at that time, like, there were some transitions going on in the organization. So we used that as an opportunity to change, propose a new structure and position and different things. And it worked. And she's in this higher level position now. And I'm so proud of her. But that was actually my second mentee. So the first year that I came back, it was when we were doing co-mentors.
Yes, I remember that. Oh, you actually had a good experience with that as well.
Yes. So it was co-mentors with the group, and there was 2 mentors to a group of like 5. And you guys randomly, like, it was a coincidence. I was matched. Dr. Jones and I were mentors together.
That's right. I didn't know that.
Wow.
It happened.
So I went from, which was a little weird, like I went from being his mentee to now we were being co-mentors. And I remember the first meeting that we had with like the 5 in Advanced 2024. And I was like, again, right? Like,
you deserve to be
my
there.
imposter syndrome.
Remember that?
I'm going to let Dr. Jones talk because he's the one that these advanced participants need to be talking to. But he would literally like stop talking and he'd be like, Kristen, I want to hear what you have to say. Like he did not let me sit back in that conversation. And because he could have very well been like, I'm the more experienced one here. I've been in the community longer. You're going to take my advice.
But you have a unique perspective to share as well. And he recognized that.
He did. Just being able to see progress that people make. And I mean, because I mentor a lot with San Diego State, the SHRM chapter at San Diego State. I mean,
who I also recently saw that Dr. Jones presented to. And I'm sure you helped make that connection.
So great story about that because I'm so close with Dr. Jones. And when I became president of the SHRM chapter, I asked him to come in and facilitate a strategic planning session. So I asked him, and he was very lovely and agreed to come in and do this for me. And we had SHRM SDSU students come to our strategic planning meeting because we're very close with the student chapters. And they were so impressed by him. They asked him to come into their chapter meeting was it this week?
It was recently. I saw it recently.
And so heard great things about that. And he's also made other connections with the people on my board at San Diego SHRM. And so what I love about him too is that he made a connection for me over email this past week to somebody that he knew that was looking to get more insight into the HR world in San Diego. And the email he sent connecting us said, Kristen and I mentor each other. And
I think you have an opportunity to learn from everyone you meet and learn in every experience that you're in.
Yeah.
You can learn something new every day from everyone you interact with.
Yeah. And so I just feel so good about myself that here's this person that I look up to that was such a leader in San Diego and was making all these connections for me. And I got to make connections for him now. Like, it's a really cool feeling.
So I want to talk about, like, since you moved to San Diego, you said back in Maryland, you weren't really involved in the community, but you had a community.
Yes.
So since coming to San Diego, how has that, like, opinion or experience and how you're showing up in San Diego now, how has that changed for you?
I was active in the HR community, but just to a point when I was back in Maryland. When I came out here, I mean, the very first thing I did was get involved with the SHRM chapter because, I never had to make an effort to have a community back in Maryland.
Because you grew up in it.
Because I grew up there. Like, it was, I'm an extrovert. Like, I make friends really easy. So I just didn't have to make an effort. And so when I came out here, I had to make an effort to get involved in communities. And so the confidence and courage that I have gained in just going into new spaces. I mean, LEAD is an example.
Yeah.
Like,
you show up and there's 50 people.
Yeah.
But what I like about it and hopefully you experience it is there's 50 individuals and they're all there for different reasons, but with the same goal.
Yep.
So you already have something in common with them.
And then when you start talking to them, you have even more in common with them, right? And I was a little bit reluctant about Advance because so when I first talked to the former executive director at LEAD, she was kind of pointing me towards impact because I was a CHRO and, it was more about getting into the community and learning about San Diego. But to me, I am a lifelong learner. So I applied to Advance and I was a little bit hesitant because I felt like I was a little bit more experienced and older in my career. But then when I got there, like that, it didn't matter.
There's something for you to learn.
Yes.
And you being there gives you an opportunity to help others learn from your experiences as well.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, it was in the connections that you make too. I mean, it was like, I remember the first person I talked to at LEAD, because I'm from the Annapolis area and she graduated from the Naval Academy in Annapolis, and she graduated with my cousin.
Again,
so
small
it's
world.
just like, you make those connections that you would never have made outside of going out of your comfort zone and being part of this group.
As I think of more and more leaders that are maybe interested in Advance or even Impact, or just listening and they're like, hey, I want to find a mentor, what would be your advice in finding a mentor in San Diego and building a relationship that actually works like your relationship with your mentors?
So I think the first thing is that you have to talk about it, right? You have to tell people, like, I'm looking for a mentor.
And it's kind of hard to just be like, hey, walk up, can you be my mentor?
Yeah. So to me, I kind of feel like it's a friend of a friend type of thing, like networking, the branches, like, you talk to people and you find out about them and, you put it out there. Like, I'm new to the community. I would love to get more involved with people. I work in HR. These are my interests, whatever. And everybody knows somebody. And so even if that person that you're talking to isn't going to be a mentor for you, they're going to know somebody that they're going to put you in contact with.
So I want to talk about from your experience and your expertise as an HR professional, as people are entering the field. You've talked about connections and all of a sudden you're coming to San Diego and like, oh, I met this person and this person and it should be this friend of How important is it as someone is looking to progress their career to ensure that when we think of networking, like, oh, I'm walking into a room and I'm just saying hi to people, but how important is it to go past that, to make a personal connection, find that community again so that when you are looking to advance your career, you have a room of people who are supporting you?
To me, there's nothing more important than the relationships and the connections that you're making with people. Because as I said, even if it's all about being mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
Like, that's very big to me, whether you're in mentee-mentor relationships, you're looking for a sponsor for your organization. It's all about, like, what can you do for each other?
Yeah.
And so even if I might not have anything for you and I know you're looking for something and I don't know, whatever, marketing, like, I'm going to try and find somebody that's in marketing that can help you. And, one story I have is when I applied for the job at San Diego Youth Services, my brother ended up knowing one of the board members. And so
sounds like it was just meant to be for you to be
right.
out here.
And so even though the board member didn't know me, didn't know anything about me, but he had a good relationship with my brother. And so my brother was able to be like, hey, my sister's coming out here. So the reference that got back to the CEO was, I don't know this person, but I know her brother and I know he's a stand-up guy. And so I'm assuming that's going to be in the family. And so you're going to want to look at this candidate.
And that's another instance of someone who believed in you and who is vetting you and putting you forward.
That's right. Yeah. And so it's everything, your networks and your connections.
Yeah, it is everything. In people and relationships are like the two themes that I'm seeing in a lot of your roles that you're playing. What, obviously it's a passion for you. What do you wish more people understood about the HR role plays in like shaping a culture, like in an organization, but also across San Diego?
We're not just transactional. We're not just reacting. Even though that's a lot of what we do, we have to put out a lot of fires.
Gotta keep people safe.
We want to and we need to be strategic business partners in organizations because we are influencing. It's all about being proactive and what can you do for your staff while protecting the organization to make it a better working environment for your staff.
You've talked a lot about how you're involved in the community now. How does that shape how you're showing up in the community? With you're on the SHRM board, you're mentoring at SDSU. What other ways are you doing in your personal work and your professional work that truly just focuses on people?
I'm just super proud to say I'm a lead graduate, right? I mean, I think that gives you a lot of credibility
We've heard that.
in the community. So it went on my LinkedIn like immediately as I graduated. My diploma or certificate is up in my office. Like, it's really important to me to have people in San Diego in order for me to make those connections and have people trust me and want to get to know this kind of like outsider that I could say.
I don't think you're an outsider.
I mean, now I'm not.
You are just integrated into the community now.
But I think it's really like having lead in my background is a really important part of being able to make connections in the community because so many people have been a part of lead in one way or the other.
Yeah.
And so
they're really woven throughout the fabric.
It's woven throughout the San Diego fabric. And so having that, being able to say I'm a lead graduate, I think immediately just gives me a credibility and just, people want to know more.
Yeah.
What was the first sense of that, like you being able to be, I don't know, feel like you're at home with all your people at Advance? Like, what was that first moment like for you?
I remember it was one of the sessions we did about like confidence.
I know which one you're talking about. Confidence talk.
We were discussing things with our table, and it was something about like, what do we want to do that makes us uncomfortable? And, like kind of what is that thing that you've had in the back of your mind, but you just like haven't done it because you haven't been able to work up the nerve. And mine was traveling solo. Like
you mentioned before, you lived in Maryland. You didn't travel outside of Maryland.
Yes.
Okay.
I would love to be able to take a trip solo and just, but I'm anxious about that. And so we talked about that at our table. And then somebody from each table had to go up in front and talk about that. And my table picked me to do that. So I had to tell the whole room, like, this is what I want to do. That moment of vulnerability in that class, like, just gave me opportunities and conversations I wouldn't have had I not been open and vulnerable about that.
So I'm gonna kind of wrap with that vulnerability. So when you going into Advance, you said you didn't think that you belonged there because you were more senior in your role. And that takes some vulnerability to admit that, but then also vulnerability to be in humbleness to show up and be like, I still have something to learn. And then you have a fantastic experience with your mentor. And then again, full circle, you're coming back and you're mentoring now. Are those some things that you are hoping that your mentors or your mentees walk away with?
She's in the same place I was 20 years ago. And so I want her 20 years from now to look back and say, I'm part of how I got to where I am in my career is because Kristen helped me get there. That's the best feeling in the world. And I take that, I tell that to my staff too. Like, I'm here, like, I'm going to help you. I'm going to do, but like your success is like, that's a reflection of me.
Yes.
And that's really important. Like, if I can get you to where you want to be, if it's my team, like, okay, maybe that might be outside of the organization sometimes, but like, at least I got you to that point where you're going to get that next great job, right? That's really meaningful to me to help people get to where they want to be. And that's that's what I want to do.
Well, Kristen, I think you shine as a leader, and San Diego is lucky to have
Thank
you
you.
here. And I'm glad that you have chosen San Diego to be your community and your home. And I'm just really appreciative that you shared your story with us, and that you're like who you are inspired to be, that you continue to share that with others.
Thank you.
Also through Advance, like our mentees are very lucky to have you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your story. And one thing I'm taking away is the power of mentorship in one person's life
Absolutely.
can continue to change others and push them more towards their full potential.
That's right. Yes, it's great to be here.
So this has been Leading San Diego, produced in partnership with the David Harp Foundation. Thanks for listening.